Dreo ChefMaker did it again. Come check this out. The burger turned out great. Alright, welcome back. We're going to try to make a hamburger in the Dreo ChefMaker today. I've had a few people ask me about making hamburger in here because you've mostly seen me make steak. Now, at least I think that might be all you've seen, because I have made hamburgers in here, but I haven't made them the way most people make them. Typically, when I get a piece of hamburger, because I tend to only eat burger that comes from my local rancher, and this particular kind of burger has the organs of the cow mixed in. The beef heart, the kidneys, and the liver is all mixed in with this hamburger meat, plus the suet, so it has a very high fat content ratio. We call it Warrior Burger. It's fantastic. By the way, you can get this made at any local rancher that does cows for you. All you got to do is tell them to grind the organs in with your burger at roughly a 15% ratio of organ meat to hamburger meat, and then also use your suet and extra fat so you get a nice fatty burger. You got Warrior Burger. I usually take the Warrior Burger and I take the whole patty just like it comes out of the package here, and I stick it in the air fryer like that, because I'm not cooking my burgers to go on bread anyway. But I know some people are, and sometimes when I cook hamburger meat, I do make it for my family, and sometimes they still eat buns. So I'm going to go ahead and make these on the round burger style, and we're going to try them out in the Dreo ChefMaker today in chef mode to see how it does at making sure this is an easy thing to cook. Let's take a look. Alright, I'm going to start off by taking off my rings. I don't like getting the blood and stuff all over my rings, and we'll put it on the plate here so I can make it into some patties. I'm going to use some of my favorite Redmond smoked salt. Now, I'm not using the cherry today. For some reason, a burger just needs to have a hickory flavor, so I'm going to use the hickory flavored Redmond smoked salt. Give it a nice coating, and then I'm going to mix it all in throughout the burger. Alright. Make sure I get that spread around kind of evenly. Alright, here. Tear some of that off, make it into a patty. This fatty meat is really soft, so sometimes it's hard to get it into a nice, good, hard form patty. Alright, there we go. I don't know if I got enough for 2 or 3. Let's see if this is going to be too big. I don't think so. Maybe a little too big. Let's see, this is a 1.5 pounds of meat, so these are 3/4 pound burgers. It's a pretty good sized burger, I'd say. Want to try to make sure it's not too puffy in the center, otherwise it'll puff up like a big round circle inside of there. So I got my rack in, the upper level rack, because I'm going to use the chef mode. You typically use this in the chef mode as far as I've been able to tell so far. But once again, I've pretty much only cooked steaks in here, so we're going to find out. I think I used this the last time. Yeah, I'm sure I used it the last time, because I'm also going to be using the temperature probe. And I've never used the temperature probe with just the regular air fryer rack that comes with this thing. That's this one here, by the way. Now, my son has used this when he's made a few things that he likes to heat up. And one of these days I'm going to make a video showing you how you can cook other things in here, because even though I only eat meat, my family does eat some other things, and this will give us a chance to really see what all the ChefMaker can do, because though it was made with meat in mind, it can cook a lot of other things. But let's talk about hamburgers today. So since we can only put the probe in one of the 2 burgers, I'm going to take the larger of the 2, and I'm going to stick the probe in. There we go. Set it inside, and then I'm going to set the other burger on the inside. So you can see they both fit pretty decent. It's got a little bit of airflow available there, so hopefully it's going to get both sides cooked the way we like without having to flip them over. So one question I get a lot of times is, or the one comment I get about the time that I cooked 2 steaks together, is that it didn't get cooked enough on the bottom. Well, those 2 steaks were blocking a lot of the airflow. They were large steaks. One was 22 ounces, the other one was 23 ounces. So that's pretty large for what most people are going to be making. Now, if you're making steaks that big, you might want to consider something a little bigger than this device. But if you're having 16-ounce steaks, 2 steaks should be able to cook just fine and still get both sides done pretty good. We'll have to make a video looking at that a little closer too. But today we're talking about hamburgers. So here we got it in chef mode already. We're going to select beef, and I'm going to go down to beef burger patty. Ensure that the probe tip is at the thickest part of the food, and I want to cook them medium. It sounds good enough to me. It's pretty simple. Didn't have to be told what to do with an extra piece of meat in there or anything. It just says let's get going. Beef burger patty medium, achieving doneness. Estimated time left 15 minutes. So let's see. I don't even have I do have my phone with me. So let's go ahead and start a timer. It's only been about 30 seconds, stopwatch, and we'll see how long it actually takes for the Dreo ChefMaker to finish making hamburger. And we'll see how the hamburger comes out. And here, after 3 minutes and 40 seconds, it still says 14 minutes. So estimating just takes time. And I haven't even looked to see what the app does. The only thing I've noticed about the app so far since I installed it is that whenever it's done cooking, it lets me know. And really, that's just about all I need it for. But let's take a closer look and see what it does. Alright, so we're opening the Dreo app. Let's see, it says it's cooking already, so let's click on that and see what happens. Alright, and here it shows me what it shows me on the screen, that I've got 12 minutes left, and it's achieving doneness. I can turn the light on. I can turn the light on remotely. Now that's pretty fancy, ChefMaker. Let's see what's going on in there. Oh yeah, looks like I got a couple burgers cooking. Seems pretty simple. Seems like it's telling me what I wanted it to tell me when it's done. That's the big thing. But nice to know that I can stop cooking and also turn the light on and off right from here. And apparently I can set this up as a favorite. I don't have any favorites set right now. Let's see what settings does. And share the device. Wi-Fi info, firmware version, maintenance. So you can do your draining of the water right from here, because you can go into maintenance and do the water drain pipe feature or the descaling setting. Screen timeout. So that sets this up to where it won't be as bright after 60 seconds, and then you touch it again and it brightens back up. You can adjust the temperature of your unit from Fahrenheit to Celsius. Oh, and you can see the user manual right here in the app, so that's convenient. You don't have to keep up with that book you're going to lose. Frequently asked questions. Let's see what we got here. Connection to Wi-Fi fails. What to do? I cannot find the appliance when adding to the Dreo app. The cooking probe is not detected. Is the basket safe to put on my countertop? How do I... That's an interesting one, because I have a plastic tablecloth on top of this counter, on this table right here. Use caution when handling and place on heat-safe surfaces only. I have been careful not to touch the tabletop with it because one, it's a plastic table, and two, it's a plastic tablecloth. So it's a good idea to keep it off of there. How do I pause or stop the cooking? Remove the basket from the unit. To pause the cooking and place it back to resume, you can also press confirm button or return and then confirm to stop the cooking. So that answers a question that a lot of people had, is can I stop it and flip it if I want to midway through? Absolutely. You can just pull it out, flip the meat over, push it back in. If that's the way you want to do it, then that's the way you can easily do it. Dark smoke is coming out of my appliance. I haven't seen any smoke come out of this thing yet. What does that mean? Immediately unplug your appliance. The food is burning, and wait for the smoke to clear before pulling the basket out. White smoke is coming out of my appliance. The appliance may produce some white smoke when you use it for the first time. This is normal. I never noticed any of that. Make sure the basket... by the way, I did put it through a heating process one time before I cooked with it to avoid that, but I didn't see any of that white smoke. Make sure the basket and the non-stick food tray is cleaned properly and is not greasy. 3. Frying greasy foods will cause oil leaks into the basket. This oil will produce white smoke. This is normal and should not affect cooking. So, there's your question about smoke. For those of you who keep asking about smoke, it's not supposed to smoke. But if it is, maybe it's got too much oil. And I haven't had that problem, and I cook with really fatty meat. Now, when I take it out at the end, I usually notice the smoke comes out, or not smoke, but it's more like steam coming off of the device because there's so much moisture in the meat. And some of that moisture, that heated moisture, will get up inside the fan and element there. And I did just have a question yesterday on Facebook. somebody asked me about cleaning underneath the element. So I thought, well, I've been using this thing for 6 weeks. Let's see how it looks. So I took this picture of it before I started, and that was after 6 weeks of use. Not too terribly bad. The fan is covered by the heating element, so you really don't have a lot of room to maneuver in there, but I still like it better than some of the other air fryers I've used where you have no access to the fan or the heating element unless you break out some tools or something. But I was able to clean it with just a paper towel and some soap and water, and this is what I was able to achieve after 6 weeks of use, cleaning it for the first time. Alright, let's see what else they got in the frequently asked questions. Foods are not crispy after frying. Spray or brush a small amount of oil on the foods can increase crispiness. We'll pass on that. I don't want any oils on my food except for natural animal fats. Foods are cooked unevenly. Ingredients that are stacked on top of each other or close to each other need to be shaken during cooking. The non-stick cooking tray should be placed in the basket. So it's letting you know that you got to make sure you got one of the trays in there, and that sometimes you may have to move things around if it's something stacked on the top of each other, like maybe French fries. You might have to shake them around. And in the case of steaks, it might benefit you to flip it halfway through. Now, the goal of the manufacturer was to make a device that wouldn't need your attention at all. You just put it in and let it go. But the natural tendency is going to be, no matter what, the heat bearing down from the fan and the element on top is definitely going to cook the top of the meat more than it's going to cook the bottom. But as far as airflow goes, I haven't seen a unit that does as well as this. Foods are not completely cooked. Do not overcrowd the basket in every cooked. I think they meant in every cooking situation. If the basket is overstuffed, your ingredients will not receive proper heat. 2, try the program mode using the cook probe for better accuracy. So you might be cooking it without the cooking probe, and that could definitely be a part of the issue. So that's their frequently asked questions. Oh, and you can even change the name of it. Mine says ChefMaker. Let's change it to Dante ChefMaker. So I'll do it without the apostrophe and everything works fine. Those darn special characters. Alright, so we're still cooking. It says 10 minutes left. Timer is at 14 minutes already. So it's taken a little longer than the initial estimate. It almost seemed like it was preset to say 15 minutes because it was probably assuming it wasn't a 3/4 pound burger. But I'm looking forward to seeing how this comes out without any flipping, without doing anything to the hamburger meat after we put it in. We're just going to let it go and see how it comes out. Alright, so I have found that the app can be very helpful because right after I walked away from this when it said 10 minutes left, about 2 minutes later, well 3 minutes later because it took 3 minutes on the timer, it was done. So I stopped it at 17 minutes and 24 seconds, and that was allowing for the 30 seconds that I missed at the beginning. So that's pretty close to the accurate cook time for these burgers. Now, let's see how they came out. First, we'll take a look at the burger right out of the ChefMaker. You can see it's got some ooze coming out of it here, so the grease is coming out. Remember, these are very fatty burgers, so they're hard to keep from plumping up like this. And you can see the top side is real crispy. The bottom side came out well cooked. It's not as crispy looking as the top side and dry. The bottom looks juicier, which I think actually looks more appealing. But they did plump up pretty good, and that's probably because I used too big of a piece. But you know, ooh, look at all that juice in there. Taking the probe out just made it leak. I'm gonna let these sit for a moment. So I noticed also it doesn't do a sous vide option, which is pretty common. I haven't seen anybody sous vide burgers yet. Not saying that somebody hasn't or that you can't, but I don't think that that's a common feature anyway. If it is, let me know in the comments. I'd love to know your thoughts on sous videing hamburgers. Meanwhile, while this is sitting for a moment, I'm gonna go rinse out this tray and see how well it cleans up. Because after cooking hamburger, I notice it gets a lot messier than it does when I'm cooking steak. So I have an outdoor kitchen. That makes it very easy for me to just go spray off this thing in the hose out there. And all I have used to clean this with is the hose with a spray nozzle on it. And I don't know how well you can see it. I hope you can see it good because there's nothing left on the surface except drops of water. There's no meat or fat or juices left on the inside. And I did this rather quickly too. So cleans up like a charm. You can take the temperature probe all the way out, wipe it off with a paper towel, Put it away for your next use. Take your tray out, dry it off. And this way, if there are any little bits of fat juices or meat from the juice from the meat, then you can wipe that off. But I'm not seeing anything like that. It just looks like it's wet, and I'm getting it dry. It's plain and simple. Got a little bit of water in here. Let me dump that out. Wipe it out. Looks perfect. And I only used half of a paper towel to clean this thing. That's awesome. Because I hate wasting paper towels. They are so expensive these days. And I used to have to use at least 3 because I keep up with that stuff. I'm a stickler for how much I waste on products. And I don't like wasting plastic on things like sous vide. I don't like wasting plastic on sealing of the heat sealed bags for meat. I don't like wasting paper towels. I don't like wasting anything. And this device really makes it easy to clean and save on a lot of waste. Alright, now let's see how it did on these burgers, because these are some pretty thick burgers. I want to see how they came out. Let's grab a knife here. Wow, that looks fantastic. Perfect medium cook. Not overcooked in the center. I like my hamburger a little bit medium myself. Now some people like to cook theirs a little bit more, but not me. I know both the farmer who raised the animal and I know the processor who cut up the animal. So I know I'm getting a good quality cut of meat. There's not going to be stuff mixed in that I don't want in my burger. That's the reason why I feel totally confident cooking this meat to a medium level. But some people, you might like medium well a little better for your hamburger meat. Some people just eat it raw anyway from the store. So who am I to say which is the best way to eat meat? I'm just some guy on YouTube. Don't take my word for anything. But I will tell you that you're going to get the straight scoop on what I think of this meat when I taste it. It's juicy and tender. It's not tough on the outside. It's not gooey on the inside. So if it can do that good on a burger this size, I'm sure it's going to do a fantastic job on thinner burgers. But we'll try that in a future video and see how that comes out. That's it for this time. I'll see you guys next time. Thanks for joining me.
If we pay extra, could we maybe get some grease or fat?
Oh, and now that I'm practically done with the first patty, let's take a look at the second patty, because I don't want anybody saying that I didn't cut that one open and test it out. Once again, looks fantastic. Lightly pink on the inside. You might even be able to barely tell it has a pink in the lighting out here, but I can definitely see it. Both burgers came out absolutely phenomenal. So, ChefMaker, 2 thumbs up once again. You did a great job.